Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Voices of the Vic podcast with me, Mike Duffy. And today I am joined by no other than Cam Smart, your first one of the new year. Happy New Year, Cam. How are things with you?
Not bad at all. Yeah, we were just talking beforehand. I was taken aback by the new layout we've got here. We're in circles and we've got a new picture of Vicarage Road in the background. So, yeah, nice little rebrand going on that's completely new to me. But yeah, I am all good. Not really got any New Year's resolutions in mind or anything, but yeah, New Year's, same me really. So how about yourself?
Good stuff. Yeah, all good. I was on my first podcast of the new year with Katie last time out to talk about the QPR game. So could have been better circumstances, I suppose, but a couple of sort of New Year's. Well, I don't actually know. I've not written them down. So every year I write a list on my phone about New Year's resolutions and, well, what I want to achieve in the year ahead. I actually haven't put that list together. However, I do have a list on my phone of runs that I've booked, runs that I'm yet to book, and then just a few sort of running goals. So for those that follow me on my personal account, I did my longest ever run the other day. I think it worked out to 13.2, 13.26 kilometers. So it was 8.2 miles. I ran from, again, unless you know me or know the area, this is probably not going to mean a lot to people, but I ran from Solihull to Birmingham just via the canal network. So, yeah, my longest ever run, and I tried my hand at vlogging it. So, shameless little plug there. It is available on YouTube. I'll drop the link in to the description, just for a bit of shameless plugging. And already my cats have decided they're going to start fighting behind. So, yeah, those two should probably sort their New Year's resolution out to not fight with one another. But
Well, you could have at least fed them.
yeah, exactly. It's been a rush since I got back from work. So you will have noticed as well, by the way, you're probably wondering why the hell are Voice of the Vic live at 7 minutes past 4? We don't do on time here at Voice of the Vic. This was scheduled for 5:30, and for once we're early. So me and Cam were just early, and we thought we'll go for it. So we are unfortunately here to discuss another defeat for Watford. It's becoming a bit of a theme recently. I think that's 3 losses on the bounce now. Cardiff,
Right.
QPR, and Sheffield United. I think we can finally say that home sort of, maybe the fortress at home is maybe fading a little bit, because that's 2 losses on the bounce at home now. So not great for Watford at the moment, and our fixtures coming up are looking. Let's just say there's a few potential banana skins in there, and I'll get your thoughts on it at the end. Happy New Year, says Michael Thorpe. Happy New Year to all Watford fans. Happy New Year to you as well, Michael. Hope you're very well. And we're also, as well, whilst we talk about the Sheffield United game, we're going to preview a little bit about the Fulham game, because, yes, it's the best time of the year. The FA Cup is back. However, the magic of the FA Cup is in the bin, because we're playing on a Thursday night. What the bloody hell is that all about? And the worst thing is...
Have they found a broadcaster yet?
No, I was just going to say, the worst thing is, they said they moved it because it was chosen for overseas broadcast. Andrew French put an article out. It's not even going to be on TV abroad. So it just does my head in. I said to Beck this morning, I says, this weekend's sort of going to throw me out of sorts a little bit, because, yeah, you know, you get the odd maybe Friday game or this odd Sunday game, but playing on a Thursday, I mean, it's not even going to feel like it's football day, for one. I mean, I know you're going, so we'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's start with team news, as we always do here on Voice of the Vic. So there are a couple of changes for the Sheffield United game, and I think a lot of eyes were on Tom Cleverley for this one because of how bad things were at QPR. Again, a game which you were at, so you can probably relate to a lot of this. But yeah, the team news, the big things that sort of stuck out for me was the midfield partnership. We had no loser against QPR because of an injury. He was back on the weekend. He partnered Kayembe, so we'll talk about that, because the midfield sort of partnerships at the moment, there's a lot to be said about them. Sissoko was dropped to the bench. Hoorah! Ogbonna returned to the defence. He returned to a back three. He had Sierralta and Pollock either side of him, which means Porteous was dropped to the bench. Bio was dropped, and we saw a front two. Well, initially we thought it was maybe Barr as the number 9, but I think it was more of a front two with Vata and Barr. So in terms of that, and as well, sorry, there was no Daniel Jebison in the matchday squad whatsoever. It was Doumbia and Bio on the bench as our striking options. Obviously, Jebison, an ex-Sheffield United player, and for anyone that was at the reverse fixture at Bramall Lane, would have known the reception that he got and the abuse that he got from that 10-minute cameo that he got at the end of the game.
They
So
hated him.
was that a little bit in the back of Cleverley's mind? Who knows? But yeah, I mean, in terms of the team selection, Cam, I've just talked through a couple people there. You know, Tom dropped players, which really I think was justified or more than justified. What was your reaction when that team news come out on Saturday at 2:00?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was it's bold. It's really bold to go without a striker. I mean, it's something that we probably needed to do. And it's good to see Tom take action on what our strikers have been doing because, wow, we are bad in that area of the pitch. So, yeah, I think above anything, that lineup is a message to those above Tom saying, go and get me a striker, go and get me a left back. Because we didn't play a left back. We played Jeremy Ngakia left wing back and possibly even go and get me a midfielder because lately Tom's just been rotating Kayembe and Sissoko whenever Loser's available, really. Whenever Imran Loser's fit, we look a lot better for it, but he's having to do the work of an entire midfield on his own. So Tom, my one gripe really is I don't know what the deal is with Duomo. I mean, whenever he's played, he's largely looked quite good. He's got the numbers to back it up. He's actually got the most interceptions out of any Watford midfielder this season, which is...
Yeah, so Laurence tweeted that, didn't he? And he's played less minutes as well.
Played way less. I mean, that is just crazy considering how much the others have played compared to him. So that midfield is a huge, huge area where we're going to need to look at in January. Going to need to, but probably won't, I'd say. The big concern for me, looking at that lineup, that back three, not necessarily saying, they're bad players we've picked there. Matty Pollock, Angelo Ogbonna, Francisco Sierralta, but they're all middle centre-backs, aren't they? They're all the players you'd want playing in the middle of a back three. And it's a very stiff back line, not very mobile, not a lot of pace. And I was just thinking, Sheffield United are probably going to get a lot of joy out of that, aren't they? But I thought they fared fairly well. Overall, not the worst lineup Tom's put out for sure.
No, I completely agree with that back three. You look at it and it's not exactly blessed for pace, is it? And like you say, you wouldn't go wrong seeing over three of them play in the middle of a back three. So to see them all play, I mean, I think a couple of people have touched on it. Pollock doesn't look right. I don't think he's playing on the right side of a back three. When I say right side, I mean as in the correct side, not the actual right side. I think against QPR, he didn't look confident at all. And it was very much a case of, I know it's his job, but when he got the ball, it was more a case of, right, I sort of just need to clear it now, as opposed to trying to play out from the back with it. So it was a little bit different to what we used to. Again, apologies. This is great live. Last week, right, my internet kept dropping in and out. So poor Katie was left with me dropping in and out of the podcast. And this week, Chandler's decided he wants to meow like an absolute madman, jumping on the top of doors, running round. So yeah, it's all fun and games live podcasting. We've got James in here from the Watford Way. Hello, lads. Hope you're both well. Very well, thank you, James. Hope you are too. Cam, I want to start off by talking about the number one, Dan Backman. A lot has been made about his performance. His performances of late, and Saturday was no different because he nearly conceded from not passing quick enough. And then he tried to Cruyff turn and very luckily got away with it because Callum O'Hare put it the wrong side of the goal. Then there was the injury, and then there was the gesture that was made to the rookery. Now, obviously, you were sat in the rookery, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But in terms of his performance, we obviously know that he's now out for 2 to 3 months. But I'm trying to think how to word this without sounding like a complete arsehole. But has that maybe come at the right time? Like we've said a lot on this podcast, in a lot of transfer windows, we need to go and sign a goalkeeper. Now, I know that might be a completely different question, but I certainly think we probably have to do that now, especially with Miles Roberts. He was recalled from his loan at Partick Thistle. I'm led to believe that he had another loan lined up. There was rumours that it was going to be to Notts County. But then for those that don't know, if Roberts played on Thursday against Fulham in the FA Cup, that would mean that he's played for so many teams, meaning he couldn't then move. So there was a lot to factor in. But do you think this has maybe forced Tom's hand a little bit now, Cam, that we do need to go out and get a goalkeeper? And then also just in terms of Bachmann's performance overall, I don't know what's happened to him. In lockdown, he was fantastic. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on Bachmann as a whole, mate?
Right, Bachmann as a whole, I mean, we've known it really since that lockdown season. He's not a very good goalkeeper, inconsistent shot stopper, not good aerially, doesn't command his box. And you could see it plain and clear against Sheffield United. He just completely unsettles that defence, doesn't he? Every time the ball goes back to him, everyone's nervous, the fans, the players. And Sheffield United get that belief that that they can really win the ball back there and do some damage. In that first half, he was the most dangerous player against us. He was the only way we looked like conceding, other than the goal that we did give away. And yeah, it was just a really, really poor performance from him. And it's not the first time. I mean, QPR, just probably one of his worst ones of the season. And yeah, every time he sort of hits a positive run of form and he starts making you think, well, hang on, we might have a keeper here. He then just goes on a horrible run of just being that weak goalkeeper that we know he can be.
You say that, and I tell you what springs to mind, that absolute howler he had against Leeds.
Yeah.
And then the next couple of games, he sort of did all right and maybe kept us in a few games. And you're thinking, oh, okay, bloody hell. Yeah, Leeds wasn't ideal, but there is a keeper in here. And then, like you say, he goes on another bad run. I mean, yeah. What baffles me, Cam, is I think Clev said in his post-match interview that we had to switch it up from playing out at the back. Like we had to go long because it just wasn't working. Have we not learned enough from that Valerian Ismail season? There's no coincidence whatsoever as to why Ben Hamer was went on such a good run of form in the team. And that's because Valerian Ismail wanted to play out from the back and Daniel Bachmann wasn't able to. So why we're trying to resort back to playing at the back again is beyond me.
Yeah, completely agree. It's just, if you've got to change the way you want to play just because of your goalkeeper, I mean, that's a huge red flag there. And actually, in Dan's defence, there were a couple of times in the first half where he did go long and Sheffield United won the knockdown and they carved us right open from it twice. And one of those was actually their opening goal. And yeah, that might be why maybe Dan was reluctant to go along with it. But I mean, it just shows the situation we're in where if you go long, you're in trouble. And if you play out the back, you're in even more trouble. What option do we have? So I would definitely be going out and signing a goalkeeper. I just don't know if you can throw Roberts in. I don't think Cleverley would want to throw Roberts in. I mean, you've seen how cautious he is with younger players. I think if it was between Roberts and Bond would be playing the rest of the season. So,
well, he's sort of alluded to that a little bit, hasn't he? Because we were all waiting after the game as to what the extent of the injury was. And, you know, I think he said a couple of days later when we found out, he said that, you know, Bond was always going to play on Thursday in the Cup, which you'd expect. It's the Cup and he's a Cup goalkeeper. Not a problem with that whatsoever. And that he sort of said that he'll be the one going forward. And I think the fact that they said Marriott, who's the young lad, he was due to have an operation on his toe or something.
That's right.
And they're putting that back now because apparently he'll be able to play through it, or he'll probably get injections to play through it or whatnot. The fact that they're doing that probably tells me that Roberts is going to be going out on loan, and whether it is Ross County or not, I don't know. But I just think I worry if Roberts was to play, because I just have flashbacks of that Reading game in the Cup when Okoye played. We writ him off after that one game. He was terrible, to be fair. And he's gone on to have a pretty decent season so far. A couple of seasons at Udinese. I think they quite enjoy him. But just want to ask, in terms of, a lot was made about, when he went to Cruyff turn in his own box and Callum O'Hare just stabbed it wide. I obviously didn't see it at the time because I was watching on TV, and as much as I love showing unnecessary replays of random players, on this one occasion they actually didn't replay Daniel Bachmann's reaction, but you could hear in the stadium it was quite sort of, you could cut the tension with a knife, and there was a few accounts as to what had happened on Twitter. But you sit in the Rookery, so you'll have been there firsthand, and I'm not saying you speaking for everyone on behalf of the Rookery. I'm not saying that for 1 minute, but a gesture was made, and I'll read what Bachmann said, because quite surprisingly, I was quite surprised this happened, that the Watford media team actually questioned him on it. So something must have happened, obviously, enough to sort of deem it, the need to address it. But Bachmann said, I remember raising my hands and gesturing for the fans to calm down, a bit of a reset before they got carried away with their frustrations. And I tell you what was clear, every time he went long then, I know Sheffield United fans were in good voice, or so it seemed on the TV, but it seemed like the whole stadium was sarcastically applauding and cheering when he went long. So as much as he annoys people, I'm not a fan of sort of gouging your own players, really not a fan of that. But from your point of view, Cam, because you were sat in the Rookery, what happened, and do you blame him for making a gesture? What was the gesture? What's your account of it?
I think it's all been blown out of proportion, really. I mean, I've seen, obviously, Uncle Ron's pulled out his great vocabulary, as always. He's coined it as revolting. I don't know about that. A lot of people are saying it was abusive. He was abusing the fans. I mean, come on. It was after that Cruyff turn, the resulting goal kick, Dan cleared it, rightly so, and he got cheered for it, to which he was frustrated. And you know what? I don't blame him, because, I mean, the Rookery, rightly or wrongly, is on his back 90% of the time. If he takes too long with the ball, everyone in the Rookery starts moaning. And yeah, I'm frustrated by Dan and his antics with the ball, but I think we just need to be a little bit more patient at times. And Dan, quite rightly, he turned round and he sort of threw a fist at the Rookery, basically, and shouted something or other. But it was a shout of frustration. It was a gesture of frustration, and there's really, really nothing to say about it other than the guy was angry. It doesn't need to be taken out of proportion.
Yeah, he's undoubtedly got egg on his face. He's just tried a Cruyff turn in his own box and almost bloody conceded from it. So, he's probably not feeling cock of the walk exactly straight after that. So
yeah,
I can understand the frustration from Bachmann, and I don't know why he persists with it, because didn't he do it at Norwich when we went and we conceded from it?
Did we?
Or was that Bond? I think Bond tried something similar, did he, when he first come on? No, it was Bachmann, and then he went down injured, and then he had to come off. That was it.
Oh,
so
did we
he tried
concede from that one?
And I don't know what happened. They put it wide or whatever. And I'm sure he went down injured, and that's when he come off. I'm almost certain.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, there was something like that.
So why he persists with it is beyond me. So
yeah, I mean, let's talk about him as captain, because we've obviously seen now a season and a half of Dan Bachmann with the captain's armband, and I'm not convinced. I don't know about you, but I'm really not convinced. I mean, gestures like that, maybe having a dig at the crowd, it's not really something you'd typically see from a captain. It's quite petulant.
Although, sorry to interrupt you there, I can't remember who it was aimed at, but before you started supporting Watford, Troy scored a penalty against Chelsea in the Marco Silva season, and he celebrated by sticking his middle fingers up. Again,
was that not at the Chelsea fans? I'm sure it was.
I don't know, because he went with both hands. So one was pointing towards where the Rouse meets the Vicarage Road, and then the other was aimed at the away fans. So it was a bit odd, but carry on.
No, it's probably aimed at Mazzari, wasn't
it? Yeah, well, he was gone. He was gone because it was the season after Mazzari, because we had that FX Pro Adidas kit.
Oh, was it Javi?
Was it Javi? Javi's first game he charged was Chelsea.
Yeah,
it might have been Javi. Yes,
that wouldn't have been aimed at Javi. No way.
No.
Not on my watch.
No.
Yeah, Dan. He just doesn't. He doesn't exude captaincy. He doesn't strike me as a leader, and the way he just goes to moan at the ref every time. Like, you want your captain talking to the ref, but moaning, just crying to the ref and getting booked every single time for it. It's not what you want to see. And you know what pisses me off the most about Daniel Bachmann? Whenever we've got a free kick that Bachmann's taking, he always tries to move it forwards, and it's always blatantly obvious, and the ref always sees it, and we got to waste another 15 seconds of him moving the ball back to where it should be. And there's times where he gets it wrong over and over and over again. And it's as if he's trying to time waste, but he does it like in the 10th minute of games when we're 1-0 down. He just does not stop with it. And I don't understand it for the life of me.
Yeah, I mean, why they don't appoint an on-pitch captain is beyond me. I mean, when I used to referee, I know I'm talking complete differences here. Like, we're talking professional football and I'm talking park football, but you would absolutely hate it when you would come up against a team and their captain was a goalkeeper, because the goalkeeper, you expect, whenever a decision's made and it's contentious, you expect the player to come up and question you on it. Or if something's kicked off, you want to call both captains in. If it's your goalkeeper and it's happened at the other end of the pitch, you're not going to be like, wave the goalkeeper over, wait for him, then wait for him to go back. So that's why I think an on-field captain is always best. But I wouldn't mind. There are so many contenders. Ogbonna, for one, he's been there and done it. He's got the blue T-shirt here. So I'm sure, didn't West Ham sign him for 18 million quid from Juventus or something? He's not bad. Let's put it that way. You've got Matty Pollock, who a lot of people at the club are tipping to be the future captain of the club. I'm trying to think who else. Loser, he's passionate. He cares about the club. He also fucking hates Dan Bachmann as well, by the looks of it.
He does.
When
join the club.
Yeah, when Bachmann tried that Cruyff turn, I tell you what, they did show the replay of, and multiple times, was the failed attempt at the Cruyff turn. And at the end of the clip was Loser absolutely going mental at Bachmann, and Bachmann basically saying, calm down, like, chill out, basically. But yeah, you've got a lot of Sissoko. I'm not putting in that category. I don't think he should be anywhere near that.
Well, speaking of Sissoko, did you hear Tom's quote about him as a captain?
He wanted more from him, didn't he?
There was that, but there was another quote where he explained what kind of captain
he's not a vocal captain.
He's not a vocal captain.
You watch him as
he's more a lead by example captain, which
yeah, right.
Yeah, so he's not a captain at all, really.
No, exactly.
I don't know why he's got the armband.
But, I mean, it baffles me. I know we're going on to a different subject now, but it baffles me about the captaincy. Whether people like to hear it or not, we have struggled with that captaincy since Troy left. Since Troy left, we've had no real leaders at the club.
Well, I will say it's something we got very, very right last season. Valerian Ismail putting that leadership team together. And I mean,
2 or 3 of them late the first few weeks, and then got dropped.
Well, there is
almost left.
Yeah, there is that. But 3 of those players have left the club now, including obviously Hoot was the captain. Jake Livermore, no doubt he'd be a great figure to have around, and Ben Hamer as well was in that leadership team.
Well, Ben Hamer, why didn't we keep him?
Yeah,
he's rotting on the bench at Sheffield Wednesday, but
I'm sure he'd love to come back, be number 1 for a few months.
exactly, yeah, go on a bit of a run again like we did last Christmas, and
Yeah.
it'll be all hunky dory. But I'll tell you one thing: I know we've just talked about Bachmann and his performances and sort of ridiculing him, and we're every right to. We pay to go and watch football, and if we don't think someone's pulling their weight or we don't think someone's up to it, then we've got every right to call them out on it. But what I don't like is the fact that I openly saw Watford fans celebrating his injury on Twitter. That doesn't sit right with me. No matter how bad a player might be playing, to see some of the comments were just out of order. Like he was quite visibly distressed, and I understand some comments to an extent because we know that Bachmann sometimes is known for maybe being a bit of a hypochondriac and being a bit OTT with his reactions to things. Like I've seen it where someone's brushed past him and he's gone down like a sack of shit. But I mean, he was visibly in distress at the end of that, and it was horrible to see. I mean, Larouci thinking it was cramp was a little bit funny, but I mean, to see some of the comments saying like that's the best thing. Someone said something like, hopefully it's an injury where he has to retire, and it's just like there's no need for it, man. Like I get that he's playing poorly, and you're absolutely right to dislike him. You're well within your right to dislike who you like, but yeah, just doesn't sit right with me. So Matt here says, I know Bachmann is out for 2 to 3 months, but I've also noticed he's not just taking forever with free kicks, but takes forever to goal to can't speak today. Takes forever to take goal kicks lately, trying to decide if to go long or short. Yeah, that's something that we've pretty much definitely picked up on. I mean, if you have to think about it, surely the option is to go long, because if you think about it too long and you go short, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. And like Cam's alluded to, I think we saw that a couple of times against Sheffield United. And although they've got their injury troubles at the moment, that's one team that you can't really afford to get away with it. Just moving to 2 players in particular, Andrews. I know you're not his biggest fan, and I've said on this podcast as well, I don't think he's certainly not the best right back at the club. I'm happy to stand by that. Yeah. I think he did put in a better performance against Sheffield United, got an assist. Not his first of the season, I don't think. No. But him and Barr, good link-up play down the right-hand side. And obviously Andrews getting an assist for Ngakia as well. So what did you make of Andrews on Saturday against Sheffield United?
Yeah, I was pretty pleased with him. One thing, my big gripe with him is I think he can do a lot more going forwards, and I think he really did do that on Saturday. He was making all the runs in behind, as he said, had a good link up with Barr, and he was probably, I mean, I haven't seen the numbers for this, but he was probably in that first half our player that had the most touches in the Sheffield United penalty area, because he broke in there a few times, and as you mentioned, he got that assist, which came from him making a run, an underlapping run into the box, and just a really good cutback. So, yeah, I was impressed with Andrews, and I think the wing-back pairing is something we've struggled to get right, but I think that probably is one of the best, sort of looking at both wing-backs, probably one of the best displays we've had this season.
Yeah, he's on 3 goals and 3 assists now. His last goal coming against Bristol City at home, and he likes playing at home because his last assist was in the Middlesbrough game. He got the assist for Kayembe, who scored in the
other one was MK Dons. He got one of the ones for Ince.
Yeah, well, I say 3 assists. 1 is in the cup. I just cast it all as one competition usually when I'm talking about the stats, but. You talk about Ngakia getting his goal, his first, I didn't realise this, his first senior goal. Yeah. I don't know why, I just feel like I thought he'd scored for us, because I think there's been a couple of times where he's hit an absolute humdinger from the edge of the box and it's like crashed the post. I remember one of the first games I drove to after passing my driving test was Birmingham City at home, funnily enough, under Chris Wilder.
Yeah, it was.
And and Ngakia let rip from, about 20, 25 yards, and it crashed against the post. So, but he was over on the left, and I think we've talked about this. I certainly have on this podcast. I don't usually rate him on that left-hand side, and I think he was maybe found out a little bit against QPR, but I still stand by, if you're playing a flat back four, he's the best right back at the club. But I must say, Cam, I was actually quite impressed with Ngakia. I think he played a really, really good game, and delighted to see him score, because he deserves that, because of the hard work he's been doing. He's had rotten luck with injury. I don't want to say what I'm thinking, because I might jinx it, but could it be good that he's having this run of games? Because so far he seems okay. There, I said it. So far he seems okay, and maybe he's got over the injury crisis that he had. But yeah, I was delighted for Ngakia, because, like I say, I thought he played well. What was your thoughts on Ngakia?
Yeah, I thought he was excellent, and not just today, but Saturday, not just Saturday, but really since he came back into the team, I think he's been superb every game. Now, nearly every game then, fine. But what I'll say is, in a back four, he's excellent. Every time he's been put in a back four, he's done a superb job. When you put him as a wing back with the back three behind him, he doesn't really get into the game so well. He isn't quite the attacking threat you need to be. Mm-hmm. So I was skeptical when I saw him and we were playing the back three. But on the left, he seems to be far more effective than on the right, I think. And it's just his attacking output, it flies up really. And he seems to, so eager to take on his man when he's on that left-hand side compared to on the right. So maybe it's something to consider going forward. I mean, I imagine we'll see Larouci on Thursday, but maybe against Cardiff on Tuesday, we could see Ngakia back on the left, and I'm all for it. And obviously, you mentioned there he nearly scored that worldie in that Birmingham game. He went on a little run around then. Every game he nearly scored a different kind of worldie. Under Chris Wilder, he had like 4 games in a row where he hit the post or something like that, and
that's why I thought he'd already scored.
Yeah, and it's a surprise to see his first goal come about, and it's a striker's tap in, which I'm sure
against Chris Wilder.
I'm sure he's disappointed with that. I think he wanted his first goal to be a 30-yarder, but nonetheless, really, really pleased for him, because as you said, he seems to be thriving at the moment, and fingers crossed he can stay injury-free.
Absolutely. And like you say, very good point. I wonder if he keeps his spot for Thursday night. We'll talk about what we think about Thursday night in just a little bit. I want to talk about a couple of the back three, Cam, because as I alluded to earlier, Bonner was back for the first game in God knows how long. It feels, in fact, what was the game he went off injured? He played against Man City when we were there.
Well, he played against Luton, and it might have been that game.
I think now that you say Luton, it was Luton, because I'm just looking here, and he played the full 90 against Luton, and then hasn't been in the squad. Well, he then was in the squad against Burnley, wasn't in the squad against Pompey, and then on the bench for the Cardiff and QPR game. So it was his first start since that Luton game way back in October. And for a bloke that hasn't played for that long, he slotted right in, and that's why he is such a key signing, because I thought he slotted in like he's been playing week in, week out. And for me, he has to be in that back three, because he just brings so much experience to the role, and he looks comfortable there as well.
Yeah, looks really comfortable. I was surprised that he wasn't put on the left, because I mean, I've seen Sierrata play on the wide of a back three, and he leaves a lot to be desired there normally. So I thought it'd be him on the left, Sierrata in the middle, and Pollock on the right. But yeah, Ogbonna probably his best position, really, that central role. I think if he can stay fit for the rest of the season, he should be a mainstay there. I think then you're probably looking at him in the middle, Pollock will probably be on the left and Porteous on the right. It is our best back three. As much as I don't like Pollock being on the left, but it is what it is. So yeah, really, really excellent game from him. Didn't look like he'd been injured. Just slotted straight back in, and another one. I hope we keep seeing him starting games because yeah, he can be one of the best defenders at this level.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's a signing which, like you say, should he get a good run of games, he'll be one that we can tick off at the end of the season and be like, right, that was a good signing. So,
and actually, speaking at the end of the season, I'm curious what you think will happen with Ogbonna. I mean, obviously, it might be early days to say now, but I just wonder, does he stay at the club? Does he maybe retire? And what I want to see is I want to see him retire and join the coaching team if he's going down that route.
He's 36 now, and he turns 37 in May. So at the end of the season, he'll be 37. So going into our Premier League campaign next season, he'll be 30. Oh, sorry, getting carried away. No, going into next season, he'll be 37. I don't know. Look, I want to see him as much as possible. And we talk about how Sissoko can't do it week in, week out at this level because he looks knackered. I worry that Ogbonna might get to that stage because he's not a spring chicken anymore, and he comes up against some young whippersnappers, and he could get absolutely ran ragged because he just hasn't got the legs anymore. I would like to keep him around on the coaching staff because I think the experience he would add, it would be invaluable. But my worry is we brought Robbo in to be a defensive coach, so if it was a case of get Robbo, kick Robbo out and get Ogbonna in, I'm not having that. I'm sorry.
You can have more than one defensive coach.
Well, yeah, you'd like to think so, but I'm just thinking of Football Manager at the moment. So usually with my teams that I take over, they're like, oh, you can have him, but you need to release him. I'm like, no, fuck you, I want both.
With my teams, I just get in whatever funny names there are, such as if like I like to get ex-Watford players in there, or just any sort of EFL legends. Just get them.
I always find whatever team you manage, get their ex-players to come in as coaching staff because they already know the environment. So
yeah, I like that idea.
Little FM tip for you there, mid-podcast. So don't say we don't look after your hair. Staying on that back three, a man that you said would sit in your perfect back three is Porteous. We didn't see him at all at the weekends because he was dropped and he didn't come on. Now, there's been rumours about him being unhappy. Now, I said, funnily enough, about 15 minutes before we went live, Joe, who, by the way, I need to mention this because I've not given him any credit for it whatsoever. But for the last sort of few weeks, Joe has very kindly basically directed the Voices of the Vic podcasts because he's got a brilliant knack of just bullet pointing stuff, good, what talking points to do. And he basically, like I say, he's the director because he puts together the talking points for the show and it makes whoever's hosting their job a hell of a lot easier because my memory of what it used to be, I can sit there and watch a game of football. You ask me an hour or two later, I remember that pass or remember that goal. I'm like, no, I probably need to go back and watch it. So, yeah, big shout out to Joe. But I rang him. He rang me just before we went live, and he was saying, "Do you want to talk about the Porteous stuff?" Because I've only seen one rumor, and I think the guy's a Turkish journalist. I don't know if he's got many followers. Can't remember, but I'm leaning more towards it being bullshit than being the truth.
I'm leaning heavily towards it being bullshit.
Yeah, like I've just said, the rumours of him being unhappy and wants to move away. The rumoured teams are Hull and Rangers. I mean, why are Hull sniffing around him? Rangers I can understand because in Scotland, he's quite well received, I think, throughout Scotland. Obviously, probably not after the Euros straight away because of what happened. But I would say overall, on an average, a lot of Scottish fans would see him as a decent enough footballer. But the Hull link just completely threw me. But, I mean, you just saying there, you're leaning more towards it being bullshit. But would you be gutted to see the back of Porteous, or if a decent enough offer come in, would you be tempted to take it?
I think it really depends. I mean, right now, I think the centre backs we've got, it's a bit of a mess, and I think we've got. I mean, we started 3 middle centre backs, so to speak, on Saturday, and it probably speaks to the lack of wide centre backs we've got. But Porteous, I think he fits that to a T. I think he is a right centre back, and I think what he gives you, with his overlapping runs. He's sound on the ball. He's got good technique, and he's very quick as well. I think that's exactly what you need in that right centre back. And maybe other than Kevin Caben, who does exist apparently, other than him, I don't think we've got anyone that can do that really. So I'd keep him around for that reason, for his profile. That said, if a good offer of a few million came in, maybe 3 or 4 million, I'd be tempted maybe to get rid, but it would just all depend on who we bring in. Because I mean, Sierralta, I think he's fared well lately, but he can't play right centre back, and I don't want to see that for the rest of the season. So. Yeah, I'd want to keep Porteous around. I think he has more good games than bad ones lately. Put it that way.
Yeah, we said exactly the same the other week. I can't remember who I was on with when we were talking about it, but I said, he's had a bit of an up and down Watford career. There was, the hype around him coming in the first place and being like, oh my God, we're actually going to sign someone like this, because I think there was us and Blackburn were after him. And, usually with Watford, we sort of miss out on those homegrown players, or you sort of think, right, Watford wouldn't go in for someone like that. And then it's, like I say, been up and down. And I think since Clev's come in, well, this season, more so, he's looked a lot more stable, and that sort of rashness hasn't been there as regularly as we know it can be. So I'd be gutted if it's true. I mean, I don't know what would be making him unhappy, because he's playing a lot recently and he doesn't seem like he's unsettled or anything. So it'll be
the reason they gave was apparently a lack of playing time, which, other than it being from a Turkish account, I think that's the biggest reason. It's a big pile of bullshit, because he started 16 out of our last 17 games, I think it is.
Well, I'm just looking here now. So he was on the bench against Sheffield United, and then he's played 90 minutes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the last 9 games. He's played 90 minutes. And then even before that, sorry, one of those was Scotland. He was on the bench. So he's actually played 9 of the last 10. He's played the full game. So you make your own mind up whether you think that the rumour might be true or not. So hopefully it's bullshit, because I don't want him to go. I'd be gutted. And like you say, what would we do defensively? That's going to be the big thing on Thursday. What we do? Do we go strong? Do we go mix it up? But then if we do mix it up, who do we go for? But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Loser had another brilliant game. I tweeted at half time. I said, boy, oh boy, did we miss Loser against QPR, because I don't know how he does it. He just glides across the pitch. He looks so elegant. He can pick a pass, and a pass that you'd think, no way, that's not making that. Almost Capoue-esque. Maybe not with the distance in which he can hit a pinpoint pass, but Capoue could really pick a pass. So he reminds me of him a little bit. He's a guaranteed starter at the moment, and rightly so. It's just finding the best player to play with him. And I firmly believe his best player to play with him isn't at the club at the moment, because I don't think any of them complement him whatsoever. Maybe Tom Delly. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh there, actually. Yeah. Let's see what Tom Delly's like when he comes back.
Well, I mean, I think the best player to play with him is in the reserves every week, and that's Pierre Duomo.
Well, yeah, quite, actually. Duomo is a very good shout. But in terms of another good player who could play with him in midfield, could that be a January signing? Do you think that's a department we're going to be looking at?
It could be. I mean, knowing us, it won't be, but it could be.
Isaac Hayden's going.
Oh, don't get me started on Isaac Hayden.
Jeff Hendricks, he's free. That got Watford written all over it. Don't know why. Not saying I'd take him. Not saying I'd be happy. But just has Watford written all over it.
Let's move on from those two. It should be a target. It should really be a target if we want to. I mean, even if we want to finish mid-table, because we're in a bit of a slide at the moment, and I don't think unless we get reinforcements in, I don't think that slide is going to stop. I think with the players we've got, Tom's got all he can out of them, but now he's hit a stumbling block really, and the squad needs freshening up, and it's that midfield really that is a big part of why we look very easy to play against at the moment. You know, there's no one in there battling. I mean, you saw the second goal Sheffield United scored, the short free kick. Kayembe is fast asleep there. He's I don't know who he's having a chat with, but he's not one bit concerned about the man running off him, and as a result of that, we're wide open off a short free kick. It just shouldn't happen, and he very much has the same problem Sissoko has, where they just don't seem to know what planet they're on half the time. So I would be looking to ship one of them out. Well, I'd be looking to ship both of them out in an ideal world.
Who would take
them? Yeah, who would take them? I mean, Sissoko. Huh?
Udinese?
Well, I mean, they're going to have to, aren't they? But watch Kayembe go out there and score like 15 goals and win like midfielder of the year or something.
I think the pace of Italian football would suit Kayembe.
It probably would, yeah, but I still think even he's that bad. He just won't do anything out there. Midfield needs a complete revamp. You touched on Loser there, and wow, he is good. He's back to what he should have been really over the past few years. And you made the Capu comparison, 100% see it, but he's also got a bit of Will Hughes in him, where he'll pop up in front of the defense and ask for the ball, and he'll turn and he'll play it forwards, and that is just so important if you want to play proper football. That season with Will Hughes in front of the midfield, in front of the defense, sorry, he just completely changed us. Without him, we were probably one of the most boring teams in the league, really. We could not play any kind of football. And then you put Will Hughes in there after he came back from injury, and wow, we were fluid, and that's the kind of impact that Imran Loser can have. So yeah, really, really pleased with him. Not so pleased with what he's got to play with.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that midfield, because Clevs has come out and said after QPR that, you know, we need the nous of the league. We need someone that knows the league, you know, a little bit like your Ben Watsons, your Jake Livermore's, your Matthew Connolly's, your Sebastian Bassong's. I know I mentioned all this on the QPR pod, but I just think we need to make sure that we get the right player. And I'm not talking about Isaac Hayden. I'm not talking about Jeff Hendrick. Yes, I know the league, but they're also old codgers now, and they're just no good. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we do. Do we go in for Harry Cipriano again? Whether Peterborough let him go. I mean, they're not doing great this season, Peterborough.
He's going to be out of contract, and knowing Darren McAntony, he likes to cash in when he can. Yeah. So he's going to be available. But Gianluca Nani at that fans forum, he actually said that we're not going to be going back in for Cipriano, which is really, really weird, because why would you go in for him on transfer deadline day when he's obviously not going to be available? And then now he is available. He's definitely available for quite cheap, and you're not interested. So I don't know if it's just Gianluca.
Well, Cam, you've supported this club long enough now to know that we don't do things the normal way. No, so you sound surprised. Just switching maybe to a little bit more of a disappointing sort of look at things. Jack, again, look, he looked a lot more refreshed than he did on New Year's Day, let's put it that way. He looked a lot more lively, driving forward. But for me, he should have been on the score sheet. I think he has to score that chance where it's pulled back. He's put it right at Cooper, and Cooper's made, you know, a save that you'd expect him to being one of the best keepers, if not the best keeper in the league. But yeah, for me, another frustrating game and another reason as to why he's at Watford at the moment and not at this top 4 or top 16 that Clev said he could reach if he sorts goals to his game. But yeah, what about you? What were you thinking about Czech come the final whistle?
Yeah, I think he should have absolutely buried that, but I don't think he had a bad game by any means. I think he was our only real threat second half. He did what he normally does. You know, he picks up the ball, drives. He's just working with absolutely nothing at the moment. I mean, you look at not having a striker, and that tells you all you need to know. So he obviously should have done better with a chance. Yeah, I don't blame him for the rest of his shortcomings. You know, people go on about how he hasn't got end product. I think he does. I think he just needs someone around him to actually do the right things. You know, make the right decisions, make the right runs. And he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that kind of support that he needs. You look at the QPR game. He made that smart pass to Bar, and Bar buried it. And that's what happens when you put him with a player like Bar who can, you know, who can bury chances like that and who can make the right movements. So we just need more players that can do that to support Czech, and his numbers would definitely go through the roof. It is just a shame that his big season at Watford, no doubt he's not going to be here anymore after summer, and we've paired him with Bio. It's really gutting, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, and yeah, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on him, but I think because of how well he has played and we know what he can do, I just don't think he's been hitting the levels as frequently and as consistently as he was at the start of the season. But Championship's a long old season where I just don't want us to burn him out, basically. But a player of that ilk, you don't tend to see players of that ilk at that age sort of burn out. So fingers crossed, you know, he adds more goals to his game, and I'm sure I want to be sitting on this podcast in a couple of days' time talking about how he's scored the winning goal and he's been absolutely fantastic. So one man who is fantastic at the moment, and again, he missed a chance. He dragged it wide, but still, nonetheless, he's been a breath of fresh air. Finally got 90 minutes. He's Rocco Vata. He is just going from strength to strength, Cam, isn't he? And for me now, I know next on the list is we're going to talk about the Fulham lineup, but for me, I think he has to start against Fulham.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what kind of game we're trying to play against Fulham. You know, bear in mind we got Cardiff on Tuesday. If Tom wants to go for strength, then I mean, Rocco Vata is in our strongest team right now, without a doubt for me. He obviously last couple of games he hasn't got any goal contributions, but from the Cardiff games he was on a run of 5 in 5. That was, I think, 2 goals, 3 assists, and he's really popped up with some great moments. I mean, that assist he got for Bio against Albion, was it Albion? Yeah, but the second one where he turned his man and just whipped in a great ball.
Yeah, lofted it over his head and then yeah.
The stuff like that he can do, it just gives us something, you know, something that Bar and Georgie don't give us, I think. So yeah, he complements those two very, very well. And like I said, we've paired him with Vac and Bio, so there's only so much you can expect, and I don't blame him when he doesn't quite have as impactful a game. So yeah, really, really great talent. And actually, you look at, you know, Georgie being, you know, probably next to leave us in the summer. Vata could be our next big sort of João Pedro, Asprilla, Chak Batadze level talent. And if we can keep him next season, he's going to be an excellent player.
Yeah, well, look at Pedro. I remember his first season, his first full season, I should say, in lockdown for us. And he went away and bulked up, and he had a good season. Didn't quite hit the 10 goals mark, but then the next season that was like, and then the season after, I mean, granted, the next season after that, was the Premier League season. He didn't feature too much, but that first season back in the Champ, I mean, he just did everything for us. And look at how he's doing now. He's talks of moves to Liverpool, and I've no doubt he'll be in the next Brazil squad whenever they play. And he's going from strength to strength, and it's great to see. Unlike another ex-Watford Brazilian player. But it's great to see Vata, and it looks like he's enjoying himself as well. There was a lot of talk about him maybe sort of rocking the apple cart at Celtic, and maybe not enjoying his time, and therefore sort of being a bit of a bad egg around the place. But it's clear to see that isn't the case here at Watford. And his mum, I think it's his mum, regularly comments on stuff on Watford Twitter, which is great to see. And she says that he's loving it. So long may it continue, and hopefully we can keep hold of him for a few years yet. But just before we finish the podcast, we'll just finish on a little Fulham sort of preview. It's more or less going to be who we think will play. Now, I did actually say I'd get this up on screen, but I haven't been able to. So in terms of starting 11, I'm glad you mentioned the Cardiff game on Tuesday, Cam, because I completely forgot. But would you... How would you want to play this? I mean, a cut run. We all love a cut run, and like we've had some good cut runs in the last few years. We've been very fortunate, actually. But is it just got to take a back seat because of the game on Tuesday, especially with it being our game in hand as well? And there are gaps appearing in the Championship table at the moment. I mean, you only have to look at the league, and because of the results that happened at the weekends, I mean. You've got Leeds on 53, Burnley and Sheffield in second and third, respectively, on 52. Then you've got Sunderland in fourth on 50. And then Middlesbrough, only a place below them, 9 points behind on 41. And then we're in ninth on 37. And Bristol City, 8th, 37. Blackburn, 7th, 39. And West Brom, 6th on 40. And you've got 10th, 11th and 12th. 12th for Swansea, and they're only 3 points behind us. And then only 2 points below them is QPR. So if we're not careful, we really could start slipping, as you say. Yeah. But for you, is the cup taking a back seat this season? Or would you want us to go and, would you be disappointed if we sort of put a half-assed team out and got knocked out?
Yeah, I'd be disappointed. I love the cup. I think we should go for it whenever we can. It's a decent little break between Fulham and Cardiff. Maybe enough time where you can play some of those first teamers. I do think Georgie and Pollock will get a break, but you might see sort of a blend of maybe the first team regulars and those that aren't getting game time. I'm looking specifically at the players that weren't in the starting lineup on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I think most of those are guaranteed to play. I think Larouci, Sissoko, Porteous, I think they'll come in.
I'll tell you what, I'll read through the team that you've predicted. Mm-hmm. And also as well, you talk about there being a sort of decent enough gap between the two games. Don't forget, Cardiff also play on Thursday in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So no one's getting an extra day or like one less day or anything like that. So the team that Cam has gone for is you've gone for a back three and you've gone Jonathan Bond in goal. We know that's going to happen, so you can tick that one down. Back three, you've got Morris on the left, Sierralta in the middle, and Porteous on the right. Then you've got Sissoko to partner Duomo in the midfield partnership. And then your wing backs, you've got Larouci out on the left, Eberseli on the right. And then you've got two number 10s playing behind the lone striker. Those two number 10s are Edo Kayembe and Rocco Vata. And then you've gone Dumbia to be the lone striker. So you, I think, like you was just saying then, Cam, a real sort of mix of players that are playing regularly and then fringe players. So you really are going for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see. There's some players in there. Maybe it's more hope than anything that I want them to be in. And that's particularly Dumbia. I really do want to see what Dumbia can do with a start under his belt. I do think it'll be Bio though, purely because he missed out on Saturday. Bear in mind, obviously, Dan Jebison's cup tied, so can't play this one. And I am actually looking forward to when the lineup comes out and someone's like, "Oh, Jebison not even on the bench. What a waste!" Because you know that's going to happen.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, back three. I mean, Morris didn't play, Porches didn't play. I think Sierralta will be given the game. Sissoko obviously didn't play; he'll be given the game. Wing backs, want to see more of Ebosele because obviously there's a lot of talk around why he's missing out lately. So it'll be a good chance to give him see if he's up for proving himself, and maybe he can work his way into the starting lineup for league games. Larouci, I think he'll be in because he missed out. I want to see Vata. I really want to see what Vata can do in a game like that. And he started away at Man City, didn't he? And he was a live wire that game. And I'd want to see more of the same impact there. Joe has actually just pointed out that Jebison might not be cup tied. I don't know if it like carries over for both cups or
no, it doesn't.
Is it just for the right? Okay, Jebison's not cup tied, so maybe we'll see him. I don't know.
Right, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, all the talk about whether he gets recalled or not, but then there's talk that if he does, he can't play for anyone else. So it's all very confusing. But I'm looking at that lineup, and I think the only ones I'd change, I'd maybe try and give Uncle Oggy a bit of a run of games, you know, just to get it back in his legs.
I would save him for Cardiff.
Yeah, I wouldn't be annoyed if they did. I just think he's coming back from injury. He's experienced. We've got that Premier League experience at the back. Morris, I absolutely want to see play because I think he's much better in that back three. Porto, yeah, I'd give Pollock a rest. Porto didn't play, like you said. I can't really argue with Larouci because we haven't really got anyone else that can play over there. And Gakia, don't risk it. Just play him in the league against Cardiff.
Could well be Ebosele out there. Andrew's on the right.
Yeah, I would go with Ebosele purely because he's not playing.
I'd prefer to see Ebosele get a game on the right because I can't remember the last time he played on the right, and I think it just will be Larouci.
Yeah, I think you're right with those. You know, Andrew's had a good game against Sheffield United. By all means, you know, have him over on the right and Gakia over on the left against Cardiff on the Tuesday night. Sissoko, like you say, Sissoko's going to play, isn't he? He's got that experience in inverted commas.
Yeah, it makes him such an asset, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'd be tempted to maybe go with Loser to partner him.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
ideally.
Cuomo, but I just think, I mean, in an ideal world, it would be Loser partnering Duomo, but we know that Sissoko's going to play. So that would, again, maybe be my only other swap. Kayembe, I would actually go quite strong with the two beyond the strikers. I would actually go. I'd rest Georgie because he needs it.
Yep.
I would go with Bar and Vata behind Dumbia. I agree with Dumbia, by the way. Go with Dumbia all the way. But I would go with Bar and Vata behind because Bar, as you know, you can play him on a Thursday and then again on a Tuesday. He missed a game against. Oh, Christ, who did he miss a game against? No, not Cardiff.
Cardiff.
Oh, yeah, sorry. He missed a game against Cardiff. And I think we actually would have benefited having him against Cardiff.
100%.
So, yeah, I would play him and then play him again on Tuesday. So, yeah. And then I would go with Vata as well, and then Dumbia up front. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the fact that Cardiff play on the Thursday as well sort of puts my mind at ease a little bit. I don't for 1 minute think that we'll go there and roll them over, and I'm talking about Cardiff now because we don't do that. Cardiff are terrible at home, but we're terrible away, so that's going to be interesting. But it's just before we wrap up, Cam, what do you think scoreline wise? You're going on Thursday. You and Joe are going. What Marco Silva's men are flying at the moment, and that pains me to say because I hate Silva. And yes, I'm still bitter about it. I'm a football fan. I'm fickle, but they're flying at the moment. And for me, even if we do go sort of semi-strong, Sorry to say this, guys, but I think it could be 3 or 4 for Fulham.
Yeah, before we go any further, actually, I just want to point out 2 names who I'd like to see maybe involved, maybe on the bench. Obviously, Leo Ramirez Espan.
Yeah.
Really, really want to see more of him. I think we've got something there.
Yeah.
And Nixon Ockerson, who's just signed.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about him since the window opened. Don't even know if he's here, but they said he's joining in January. So if he's here, I'd love to see him on the bench, definitely.
What about as a defensive option, James Claridge?
I think we've loaned him out. I think we have, but I think it's on one of those like dual contracts where he can play for us and he can play for them. I don't fully know how they work, but yeah, I did see that he got loaned out. I don't keep track of these things. He's one that looked really promising in pre-season.
He is. I'm just having a look to see if he has gone, because I think you're right.
I have Northwood in my head. I feel like he went to Northwood.
No, I don't think he went to Northwood. I think Albert Eames went to some. They wear like maroon. I can't think now. In the National League South, but James Claridge, where's he gone? That's annoying. There is a world amateur golf player.
James Claridge went to St Albans, I think.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've just searched him up and St Albans tweets have come up, so I'm assuming that's him.
There we go, then. He'll not be involved. But yes, I completely agree. I would love to see... yeah, he is at St Albans. I would love to see Ramirez Espan. And yeah, why not chuck... what's his name? Okosan.
Yeah.
Okosan, yeah. The cup's the way to do it. Put them on the bench.
Yeah.
But then the hesitancy around the young players with Clevs this season, I'm like, could that maybe put him off? But let's push you for a scoreline. Matt's going 3-0 as well. He says, I'm sorry, but I think Fulham could win it 3-0 just because of how bad our away form has been. I'm going 3 or 4-0. Cam, what are you going for? Joe, if you're still watching, what are you going for?
I like this line of thinking. I'm all for it. I'm going to go, I think we'll score. I'm going to go 3-1.
Ooh, okay. Who do you think will score? Bio over Red Kick. Edge of the box.
I'm back in Dumbia here.
Yes. Not to be all churchly there, but yeah, because he didn't score that long ago. I remember being on my honeymoon in Jamaica, and I was looking out for some international scores, and Dumbia got his first goal for his country. So Joe has gone 3-1 defeat Dumbia to score.
Oh wow!
Or is he just repeating what you said?
I don't know.
Nice and original there, Joe. That's why we're on today's episode. Now, finally, just before we do wrap up, you might have seen a bit of news in terms of another Watford podcast putting an announcement out. So for those that don't know, or for those that haven't seen, last year, WD18, the Watford YouTube channel, did a WD18 Cup, and I believe they held it at Castlebury. Castlebury have got a sports club, I think it was, and they've got some five-a-side pitches. I might be wrong on that location, by the way, but they held it at some five-a-side pitches, and they did a WD18 Cup. And this year, they've announced that they're doing it again, Saturday the 10th of May, 2025, and it's going to be held at no other than Vicarage Road. And Ben entered a team of his own last year because it was all so sudden. We couldn't get a team for Voices of the Vic. So Ben plays Monday Night Football, so he entered his team. And fun little side fact for you, Ben is actually the first goal scorer ever in the WD18 Cup, and we will take that to our graves. We will absolutely take that to our graves. That is one thing that we have up on those guys, that Ben was the first scorer in the WD18 Cup. But this year we have decided, I did it earlier when I got back from football, that we are entering a Voices of the Vic team at this year's WD18 Cup. You'll see the banner at the bottom if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify. Please message us. We are after players. I believe so far How many we got, Cam? We got 5 confirmed, I think.
It's
I
something
know.
like that. I'm losing
I
count.
think we got 6.
You think we got 6?
I think we got 6. So Ben got us someone earlier. I've potentially got us one of my mates, and then the others, me, you, your mate Barney, and then potentially we're getting our dad to play. So I think we've got 6.
Just leave a gap because Delafeu hasn't replied to me yet.
Yeah, so Delafeu's not replied. Jada Merritt, you know, I'm waiting on a text back from Jay. Alec Chamberlain, you know, he might play. We do need to keep him.
Hypothetically, would we force him to play in goal if he played?
Absolutely, we would. Alec Chamberlain in goal for the Voice of the Vic team at the WD18 Cup. Yes, please. So yeah, if you're interested in playing, please do message us. Get us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, or however you converse or want to converse with us. We do have an email address as well. I couldn't quite fit it in the banner. It's thevoicesofthevic@gmail.com. Nice and easy. Simple. But we're after maybe 2 or 3 players. Drop us a message if you're interested. The deposit's been paid, and we're going to sort out the fundraising stuff soon. You have to raise by the end of May a total of £1,000, I believe it is. Me and Cam are going to look at ways that we can fundraise. I think we're more down the line of running a certain amount of kilometres between us between now and May. So once we've confirmed all that, we'll let you know. We'll put out a tweet as well. But yeah, if you're interested, drop us a message and we'll have a look at the numbers that we've got and we'll go through the messages. And if we need the players, we'll contact you back. But yeah, I think that's a good way to end the stream. Cam and Joe are going on Thursday. I'm going to try and watch, and then we're playing on Tuesday. So this is where it becomes a little bit difficult for us in terms of squeezing in match reviews and match previews, and then match reviews again, etc., etc. We'll try and be back after the Fulham game, but before the Cardiff game. But if we're not, it might just be easier to review the Fulham and the Cardiff game in one go. So keep your eyes peeled on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter as to what we'll be doing. But thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. I've noticed they've crept up a little bit over the last few days, so thank you very much. And yeah, come on, you Horns.